What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's get into NXT from November the 19th, 2024. A very fun show. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode of NXT. We will talk about the Chase U splitting up and being disbanded when we get there. I'll spend a little bit of time on that. So we kick the show off with the first match of the night. Nathan Frazer defeats Eddie Thorpe. He qualifies for the men's Iron Survivor. And basically throughout the match, all the tag teams came out and tried to get involved in everything else. There was a massive brawl during the match and towards the end of the match. So there's that. Nathan Frazer gets the win via the Phoenix Splash for the 1, 2, 3. It is what it is. This is fine. Moving on. So, Andre Chase, he talked about how he started Chase U. He didn't want to teach. He wanted to create a place where people could believe in something. A place where you felt like you belonged. He said he was lucky along the way to find people who believed in this as much as he did. He said tonight he's going to risk it all. He put over Thea Hale and how she got her first victory, as well as how Duke Hudson became the MVP of Chase U. So that was a really good segment there. Really good shit there. Moving. He also mentioned that he was going to become the new number one contender. And sadly, it did not happen. So it is what it is. Moving on. So, Kalani Jordan, she's backstage and she's talking to Robert Stone and Stevie Turner. She wants to face Julia next week to qualify in the Women's Iron Survivor. Interesting. I do like this matchup right here. We all know that Julia's going to win. She's going to qualify. So this should be fun. This is excellent shit here. Really, really good stuff here. I'm caught in the middle of who to choose. I'm caught in between. I want to say either Stephanie Vaquer or Zaria, a.k.a. Delta, is going to win. That's just what I think is going to happen. So I think that would make the most sense. They might go with Zaria, because it does make sense, and you could have Julia and Stephanie Vaquer be tag champs. And they do need to kind of bring the tag titles from the main roster to NXT. If we're being honest, you don't need the the women's tag team championships on the main roster. You just don't. Actually, no, you do. But they need to bring in NXT Women's Tag Team Championships like they used to have, because that way you can build a strong division and have Julia and Stephanie Vaquer dominate until you really find something for them to do. Outside of just, going after Roxanne Perez. So there's stuff that they could do. But it is what it is. Moving on. So Julia, she has a promo. So she cut it in Japanese. Thankfully, there were subtitles, which is great. I wish they would have had that for Gunther when he was talking to Ludwig Kaiser on Monday Night Raw. But it is what it is. So Julia says it's been a little over 2 months since she came to America. It's very different from her life in Japan. She's enjoying her time in America and learning a new culture. At the same time, NXT is learning about the beautiful madness that is Julia. When she debuted, she had no background in martial arts or combat sports. The only skill she had from the fights was when she got when she was growing up. She would bite, slap, and do whatever it took to win. The fans of Japanese pro wrestling described her actions in the ring as beautiful. They described her actions as beautiful madness. a mixture of chaos and creativity that sums up who she is as a person and a WWE superstar. She's going to qualify. 4 other women will get attached to the Beautiful Madness at NXT Deadline, and she'll become the Iron Survivor. And then she's going to go after Roxanne Perez, and she says that she'll see her soon. So this is interesting. Again, I don't know who's going to win the Iron Survivor. Right now, my money is on, I would say, Zaria, if we're being honest. I like Julia. Like, I'm a fan of Julia. I'm a fan of Julia. I'm a fan of Stephanie Vaquer, and I'm a fan of Delta, aka Zaria. I'm a fan of all 3 women. But if I had to be honest, I would love for Zaria to be the one who dethrones Roxanne Perez. And I still don't think that Roxanne Perez is going to go to the main roster. I know people have pitched that online, but Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade, they're not ready yet. That division is not ready to lose Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade, who would basically replace them. If they're going to the main roster, who's going to replace those 2? Who? Now, there are people on NXT who should be in the main roster, like JC Jane, like Fallon Henley, and I do see that happening for them later, in due time. But as of right now, just keep Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade where they are. They need time to develop. They've got their wrestling down, but they don't have their characters down. They can't even cut really good promos. Their promos suck. They're not good on the mic. They're just not. And I think Roxanne, she's good in the ring. Same with Cora Jade. She's okay. But they need more time to develop their characters. So I wouldn't bring them on the main roster until there is something concrete for them to do. Otherwise, they'll be just like, Kiana James and, so many others. Blair Davenport and others. And I don't want that for Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Moving on. Stephanie Vaquer, she defeats sexy-ass Jada Parker. The match was decent. So the finish was Lola Vice came down and she basically distracted Jada Parker. And then this allowed for Stephanie Vaquer to hit the package backbreaker for the 1, 2, 3. This makes sense. We all knew Jada Parker was going to lose anyway. She was going to lose. So I could see her maybe winning the Iron Survivor next year. So in 2025. So maybe that could happen. But Jada Parker, she's great. She's good. And Stephanie Vaquer, same thing. It's interesting that they're going to still continue the Jada Parker and Lola Vice feud. It's kind of weird to me because at the same time, a street fight usually means that it's over. Usually when you have a special stipulation in a feud, it's usually over. I don't know what else they could do. They might end up doing NXT Underground again. I think that would be great. So we could do Jada Parker and Lola Vice NXT Underground for at NXT Deadline in December. So maybe that's where this all leads. And I guess after that's over and done with, then what do you do with Lola Vice or Jada Parker going forward? I can't think of anything right now. I can't. I would have Jada Parker go after Fallon Henley, but she's a heel, so I don't fucking know at this point in time. Moving on. So, Deion Lennox, he's hyping up Brindley Reese ahead of their mixed tag match. So that's cool. Really good stuff there. I'm loving the Deion Lennox, Brindley Reese, Ashanti the Adonis storyline. That's really cool. Moving on. So Roxanne Perez, she's enjoying her time off on vacation. She's at the beach. She wishes all the women best of luck, and as they try to follow in her footsteps. They'll have all the time. They'll have the privilege to lose to her after becoming the Iron Survivor. And then Sol Ruca tells Roxanne Perez she'll see her after NXT deadline. That's interesting. So I could see maybe Roxanne Perez. Excuse me. I could see Roxanne Perez versus Sol Ruca maybe on a random episode of NXT, or you could even do that at NXT New Year's Evil next year. I think that would be pretty cool if you build it up like that. Give them a few weeks to build that. I think that would be nice, but we'll have to wait and see. But Roxanne Perez versus Sol Ruca should be fun. Both are really good in the ring, so that would be a really good work rate match. Moving on. So, Tony D'Angelo thankfully defeats Brooks Jensen. And then that dipshit, who shouldn't even be in pro wrestling, he should do fuck all anything else. I don't care what he does. That is Shawn Spears. So the two of them, Shawn Spears and Brooks Jensen, beat the shit out of Tony D'Angelo. So apparently, Shawn Spears shook the hand of Tony D. And if I was Tony D, I would actually go get my hand fucking checked out and see if you can still use it and everything. Because Shawn Spears, he's like acid. Like, if you deal with him, then basically your wrestling career is going to go down the drain. So, am I excited for Shawn Spears and Tony D'Angelo? Fuck no. Fuck no. Moving on. So Lexus King, he's backstage. He talks about his journey of becoming the best version of himself. He says slow and steady wins the race. And then he appreciates Yusuke Amora for listening to him. And then Amora, he understands where he's coming from. And then there's another backstage brawl involving the tag team division, which is quite weak. They did this like 3 times on this show, which is not good. And so, Josh Briggs and Amora, they like what they see. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. So, Ashanti the Adonis and Carmen Petrovich, they lose to Dion Lennox and Bentley Reese in their mixed tag match. So, apparently, there was some miscommunication in the match, basically. This allowed for, Ashanti the Adonis, he gets his shit, my bad. He gets the shit slapped out of him by Bentley Reese for whatever reason. I wasn't really paying attention all that much. And then this allowed for Carmen Petrovich to hit the roundhouse kick for the 1-2-3. Okay, this is fine. Moving on, Ridge Holland tells Sarah Schreiber that Andre Chase picked the wrong time to gamble his university. Relationships will be destroyed tonight. Ridge will become the new number 1 contender, and Chase U will go away. Which, that does happen. Moving on. Zaria defeats Ren Sinclair. She qualifies for the, for the Women's Iron Survivor. So Zaria wins via a nasty spear into the F5 for the 1-2-3. That was great. Zaria kicks ass. I'm a fan of Zaria. I really am. I need to watch her match against Jordynne Grace. I have to check that out. So they do have history, which is great. I can't wait until NXT brings in Jordynne Grace. I can't wait. That's going to be awesome. So she qualifies, that being Zaria. And like I say, for right now, she's my main pick to win. We have to wait until the entire field is set. We should get that within a week. So by the end of next week, we should know, the entire field. And I'll make my decision there. But for right now, I'm just going to go with Zaria winning. It just makes the most sense for right now. Moving on. So Tony D tells Ava that he's willing to give Shawn Spears a title shot in his North American Championship. Oh my God. No, Tony, don't do it, bro. Don't do it. You're good. You don't deserve that. Shawn Spears fucking sucks. So Eddie Thorpe, he's livid that Ava won't reverse the decision of his Iron Survivor qualifier due to the shenanigans of the entire NXT tag division. Who gives a fuck about Eddie Thorpe? I'm ready for him to go back to New Japan. Please. He can go back to New Japan or he can do something in TNA. I just don't want him in NXT anymore. I don't. I'm over him. He's been there for what? Close to a year, basically. He came in around the mid part of last year. So, yeah, he's been there about a year now. I believe it was the summer of last year. So, yeah, he's been there for a little over a year. Moving on. So, we get a Fatal Influence segment that happens. So, basically, Daisy Jane, she gets on the mic and she says that everyone knows that NXT has the strongest women's division in all of wrestling, which is true. All three women knew that before anyone else. They're the same three women standing in the ring. Fatal Influence has always been ahead of the curve. This is going to be the strongest women's division in the world. Then they're going to make sure, damn sure that they're going to be the ones sitting at the top of it. So, Fallon Henley says, how do you stay at the top? You stay at the top, you hold one of these, and when everyone's talking about NXT Deadline, the Iron Survivor Challenge, when they should be talking about what she did last week, Desmond Nix says that she finally shut up Kalani Jordan and proving their point once and for all. Fatal Influence is above every athlete, no matter how good they are. So Fallon Henley says she could look pretty or be a fighting champion. She said she's going to hold an open challenge, but it won't be tonight. It's going to be next week. So then Lash Legend comes out. She wants a piece of her. And then Sexy Nikita Lyons comes out and she wants a piece of her. So this leads into a massive brawl that takes place. And then basically the entire NXT women's division comes out, basically, outside of, the top women, just, the basic mid-card girls. And then so Tatum Paxley, she comes out and she attacks Fallon Henley with the modified rolling Death Valley driver, which is cool. I forgot what she calls that, so that's interesting. And then the match is going to take place next week. Okay, cool. Moving on. So Ethan Page, he had a vignette, basically. He said he's going to win his qualifier. So who cares? Main event of the evening. Ridge Holland, he defeats Andre Chase. So Chase University is no more. It is disbanded. And basically all the members of Chase U got involved. The crowd was super into this. Mostly everybody in the crowd had on Chase U shirts, which was great. Trick Williams was out there on commentary. And so basically, Ridge Holland, he got the win via the Redeemer DDT. And during the match, there was not like a ref bump, but Duke Hudson pulled the referee out and he went down for like 5 minutes. So this allowed for Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne to get involved. They got beaten up for their troubles, though. And then apparently when Riley Osborne did a rolling senton or whatever, he took out Thea Hale in the process. Also, Duke Hudson was speared through one of the, not barricades, but, the little center thing or whatever. He was speared through that. And then Andre Chase was able to come back a little bit with a couple punches and a crossbody. But Ridge was able to turn it around and he hit the Redeemer DDT, and that was it. And basically, when Andre Chase lost, the entire the entire crowd went silent. It was great. So I do like this. So my question is, do you bring Andre Chase up to the main roster? Andre Chase has been in NXT for about 3.5 years now. Thea Hale's been in NXT for 2 years. Duke Hudson, he's been there about a good 2 years as well. And Riley, he's been there for about 8 months, I would say. If not, about 8 months, give or take. No, I'm not even going to say 8 months. Probably 6 months. He's probably been there about 6 to 8 months at best. I think what they're going to end up doing is doing something different. I think they'll probably end up putting Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson in the tag team division. They'll put Thea Hale in the women's division. And I'm guessing they'll send Andre Chase to the main roster. So basically, it was cool to see their version of the bloodline come to an end. So that story is no more. So I do like this. And I'm guessing they're putting all their cards on Ridge Holland. I think that's pretty cool. So we don't know if they're going to bring in any more free agents because there aren't any right now. There aren't any. And, they're trying to rebuild the NXT men's division. And they're struggling with doing it. So does that mean that they call up Andre Chase and a couple other females in NXT who aren't doing anything, but they are ready for the main roster, like JC Jane and Fallon Henley? Because I don't expect Fallon Henley or for Fallon Henley to have like a long run with the NXT Women's North American title. I just don't see it. You could put them on the main roster, but then who do you bring down to fill the void of NXT? So I don't know. But Trick Williams, him feuding with Ridge Holland and Wes Lee, that's cool. So those should carry him through the remainder of the year and early on into next year. And then we probably will get Obafemi versus Trick Williams. But I don't see Trick Williams going to the main roster either. I just don't. I don't see him going to the main roster for another year or two. So I don't know. I am excited about this. Ridge Holland's not going to win, but I could see this being like a little mini feud for Trick. Same thing when Wesley and Trick Williams feud as well. I think the big feud for Trick is going to be Obafemi. And I do think that we'll see Obafemi in due time. But all in all, NXT was good this week, like it always is. The qualifying matches were great. Chase U being dismantled and disbanded, that is cool. The thing's been going on for 3 years, so it does make sense. Like the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. I don't give a fuck about Sean Spears and Tony D. Although I like Tony D, I don't give a single fuck about Sean Spears. I'll say that one more time. I don't give a single fuck about Sean Spears. I just don't. The NXT Women's Division is great. I'm loving what they're doing there. I'm loving the Ashanti, the Adonis, and Carmen Petrovic storyline with Deion Lennox and Brittany Reese woven in. That's pretty cool. So I do like that stuff there. Nikita Lyons, her feud with Adriana Rizzo, that's cool as well. So there's some pretty cool stuff happening on NXT. So we'll see where this goes. I do expect for Andre Chase to get caught up to the main roster. He's done everything that he can possibly do in the NXT, and I think it's just time for him to get caught up. Everyone else should be fine in NXT. Like I said before, you could put Thea Hale in the women's division. She's ready. You could put Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne, make them a tag team. And I think that's fine. And then, have Ridge, in the main event scene with Trick Williams. So we'll have to wait and see how everything plays out. But what did you guys think of NXT? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.